Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to get started on AWS for free. In today's digital age, cloud computing has become an integral part of many businesses and organizations. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is the world's most comprehensive and widely used cloud platform, offering a wide range of services and features for businesses of all sizes. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to sign up for AWS, access the AWS Management Console, and provide a brief overview of the most popular AWS services, all for free. I'll also talk about the basic foundations of the AWS Marketplace. So, whether you're a beginner who's just starting out with cloud computing or an experienced professional who wants to explore the world of AWS, this tutorial is for you. Let's get started. AWS offers a range of services and tools that can help you build and deploy applications. You can host websites and you can manage data. Most of these services and tools are readily available for you to use with no money up front. AWS offers a free tier with a wide range of services that you can use for free for up to 12 months. To get started, go to AWS free tier page by visiting aws.amazon.com/free. Once we log in, we're going to land on a page that looks just like this one. On this page, we can see that AWS offers a wide range of services and tools for building and deploying applications. You can select one of these categories to see which products are offered under each category. We can also see that AWS offers different types of offers. We have a few free trials. We have apps that are going to be 12 months free, and we have those that are always going to be free. Without further ado, we're going to explore a few of these categories, but we're going to look at the most popular services. As we can see, most of these services are available for up to 12 months free with the free tier program. AWS offers these services up to 12 months free so that users can access these services and learn how they function. Some of the most popular services included in the free tier are Amazon EC2, which is a virtual server that allows you to run applications in the cloud, Amazon S3, which is a storage service that allows you to store and retrieve data, and Amazon RDS, which is a relational database service that allows you to manage and scale databases. You can also use AWS Lambda. Lambda is a serverless compute service that's free for up to 1 million requests a month. There are a lot more services as the list goes on, and I'll get deeper into these services in a later video. For now, we'll continue with signing up for our free account. To create an AWS account, you'll need to provide your email address, password, and some basic contact information. You'll also need to provide a credit card, but don't worry, AWS won't charge you unless you exceed the free tier limits. To sign up for our account, we can just click the Create a Free Account link over here. Once you click that link, you'll be brought to a page that looks just like this one, where you're going to insert a root user email address. This is your personal email or any email that you'd like to use for this matter. In my case, I already created an account, but if you don't already have an account, this is where you would go to sign up for an account. And you can choose an account name here, but don't worry, you can always change the account name later when we log into the AWS Management Console. Once you do that, you can verify your email address, and then you'll get to the page that will ask you for more information, including inserting your credit card details. But like I said, you don't have to worry about the credit card details, because if you do not exceed the free tier limits, you will never get charged. It's just a fallback plan for AWS. If you already have an account like me, you'll go to this link over here to sign into an existing AWS account. From this page, we can sign in as a root user, because this is exactly what we need to set up our account to work the way we intend it to work. So without further ado, feel free to insert your root user email address and click Next. Insert your password and click Sign in. If you're like me and you already set up your dual authentication method, you can feel free to look at your authentication app on your phone to insert an MFA code. But if you're new here, I'm going to show you how to set this up. If you're new, once you click create an account and you'll sign up with your details, you're going to land on a page that looks like this one. Don't mind my recently visited. This is stuff that I've actually been using. But if you actually end up using some applications from the console, you can expect to see a few recently visited applications right here. So this is what's known as the AWS Management Console. With this console, you can access a wide range of AWS services. This management console is going to be your gateway to all of the AWS services and tools. From here, you can create and manage resources. You can monitor usage and costs, and you can access support. To see the full list of AWS services, click on the services icon over here. Once you click that, you're going to see recently visited applications displayed on the side. But you can always click all services to see all the services offered, or you can scroll down to see a few modules that you can drill into to see a few services under each module. But if you're unsure which service you want to explore, you can click all services. This will bring up a list of all services that are listed in alphabetical order. You can scroll down to see which service you want to look into. But for the sake of this video, we're not gonna talk about any specific services from this list of services. Another way to look at services, if you already know which service you're looking for, you can always visit the search bar and you can type the service you want. For instance, if you need to find S3, you can just type S3 and you can see a few services pop up with S3. Now that we have an overview of the AWS Management Console, we're gonna do the first initial critical step once we have this account set up. Before we do anything in this console, we have to set up our MFA. MFA, or multi-factor authentication, is the code that I inserted when I was logging into my account as a root user. So if you're new, you probably don't have this set up. So I'm gonna show you how to set up in few easy steps. To set it up, we're gonna visit our username on the top right corner of the management console. Click that, you're gonna get a drop down. On this drop down, we're gonna visit security credentials. Once our security credentials page loads up, we're gonna see account details with a few details of our account. On this side, we can edit our account name, email, and password. So if you don't like your name, you can always change your account name over on this page. For the sake of this video, we're gonna focus on multi-factor authentication, or MFA. If you don't already have this set up, you're gonna click the button that says Assign MFA Device. Once you've clicked security credentials, you're gonna end up on a page that looks just like this one. So under Select MFA Device, you're gonna specify a device name. So in my case, I have an Android, so I'm gonna say Samsung Galaxy. I already have it set up, but this is just an example. Once you have that, most of us are gonna be using this MFA device. If you already have a security key and you wanna use that, then have at it. But in this tutorial, I'm gonna be showing users how to use the Authenticator app. If you don't know what an Authenticator app is, it's an app that lets you authenticate into an account by entering a sequence of numbers or a code that's given to you in that app, and it always changes. This prevents hackers or bad people from accessing your account. So in my case, I have the Google Duo app, or it's called Duo Mobile now, and that's what I use for my Authenticator app. So I'm gonna choose that option and I'm gonna click next. Once you click next, if you already have the Duo Mobile app downloaded, which in my case is what I use, you can always click the Show QR code. Once you click Show QR code, in your Duo Mobile app, you will see an option that says accounts. And if you don't have any accounts, you're going to have an option to click the add button. So if you click add on the top right, you're going to end up at the screen that says use QR code at the top. So if you're using dual mobile like me, you can just click that option that says use QR code. And once you click that, you can use the camera that pops up on your phone to scan this QR code. Once you've scanned the QR code, you're going to be asked to fill in 2 consecutive codes from the device. So just enter the first code that pops up, and then once that code expires, enter the second code and click add MFA. In my case, I already have this set up, so I won't be doing this. So I'll go back to security credentials, and if all worked out fine, you're gonna see your device under the multi-factor authentication, or MFA. This is my current device. As you can see, I created this 47 days ago. Now that our MFA is set up, the final detail is to complete our account setup by creating an administrator user. The root user account is not restricted at all and can do anything within the console, so it's advised to use an administrator account for any tasks that do not explicitly require root user access. We will instead create an administrator user and will be assigning this administrator user with administrative access, which we can later use to log in and perform our administrative tasks. So to create an administrative user, on this same page where we create our MFA, on the left side, we can see access management. We can see user groups, users, roles, policies, etc. For our case, we're going to be clicking user groups. Under user groups, you're going to see a few user groups if you already created a few user groups. So to create a group, you're going to click create group. Once you click create group, you're going to end up on a page that looks just like this one. So we're going to be choosing a group name. So I'm going to call mine administrator. Once we have that group name, we're going to attach a few permissions. But the only permission we need right now is the administrator permission. So I can just search admin and click enter. The search will bring up a few. The only permission we need is this permission, the administrator access. So we're going to choose that, and we're going to scroll down, and we're going to click create group. Once our group is created, we will see our group under user groups, and we'll see administrator, which is the group we just created. Now that we have this ready to go, we're going to click on users, and we're going to click our new user, which we're going to be using to log into the AWS Management Console. So we're going to click users, and if you have users created, they'll always show up here with the groups they're assigned to. But in our case, this is a tutorial for people who have not set this up and are trying to set it up. So you're going to click add users, and once you click add users, you're going to choose a username. So in my case, I'm going to call my user tester. Once you have that username in there, you're going to click provide user access to the AWS Management Console, because we want our user to be able to access the Management Console. That user is going to be us, so we don't have to log in as a root user. So we're going to check that. We're going to get a few more permissions to choose from. So I would rather say I want to create an IAM user. Once you select that option, you're going to see an option that says console password, and you can leave it to auto-generate the password for you. But in my case, I like to choose my own password since I like to remember what I choose for a password. So I'll be choosing my own custom password. So in my case, I can just start typing a password I would like to use. If you want to see your password, obviously you can click show password. But once you have the password in and ready to go, you're going to look at this other option that says users must create a new password at next sign in. This option, you can leave it checked if you're creating this account for someone else. But since this account is for us and we're the ones who are going to be using it, not someone who can access our console by using this user, we can uncheck this option. So in case you have someone that wants to access your AWS management console to do something with your account, they can always go and check this option to change the password themselves that they can always use to access the console. So since I have it unchecked, I'll click next. Once you click next, you're gonna end up on a page that looks just like this one to choose which permissions you want that user to be on. So under permissions options, we can see the option selected is add users to a group. We see the options that say copy permissions and attach policies directly, but we're not gonna care about these two for now. We're just gonna focus on add users to a group, since earlier we created a group called administrator. So we're gonna be choosing that group since that's the group we already created earlier. So if you only have that group, it's the only group that's gonna show up here. If you have multiple other groups that you want that user to be in, you can choose that group as well. You can see we can select multiple groups. But for now, we just want our user to be in the administrator group. So as I said earlier, if you have a user that you're creating that you want that user to have specifically explicit permissions in the console, maybe you want this user to strictly use S3, you can create that user and assign him to a group that's strictly assigned S3 permissions. So for my case, I want my user to have full access to the console. So that's why I chose administrator, since administrator is a group I chose that has administrator access, which means they can do anything in the console that the root user can, besides only a few caveats. So I'll choose administrator and I will click next. Once you click next, it's gonna get you to a page that wants you to review and create. So we don't want to change anything here, so we can just click create user. Once you click create user, you're gonna be brought to a screen that looks just like this. So it's gonna say retrieve password, and you can always email sign-in instructions to yourself. This blurred out link over here is my console sign-in URL. For now, I'm not gonna show it because that's confidential. As you all should do, you should not be sharing this link with anyone that you think over the internet. But in my case, I just want to show that this is the username we just created and this is the password we just created. So we're going to return to our users lists. Yeah, we already know our console password, so we're going to choose continue. And we can see that our new user has been created under users and they are assigned to our administrator group. And yeah, most of this we don't really care. So now I'm going to show you how to log into the console with the tester that we just created. So to do that, open a new incognito tab. So we can do that in Chrome by clicking the three dotted icons at the top and click new incognito window. Once in the incognito window, we can navigate to aws.amazon.com/console. That's my second option here. Once on the console, click log back in. Now, once you're on the login page, you have the option to sign in as a root user, which is the user we created earlier. But for now, we're gonna click IAM user. IAM user is the tester that we just created earlier a few minutes ago. Once you click that, you're gonna be asked to insert your account ID or account alias. To find this account ID, we can navigate back to our previous window, and once we're there, I'll show you where to find it. On the top right hand corner where your username is, you can click that, and at the drop down you'll see an option that says account ID. You have the option to click copy, to just copy it, and then navigate back to our incognito window and insert that 12-digit code we just copied. That will be our account ID. We can now click next, and we're gonna be brought to a page to insert our IAM username and IAM password. So for our username, our user was called tester. And for the password, we chose a password that we can remember. Once we have that in, we're gonna click sign in. You can choose remember your account if you don't want to keep logging in with entering it all over again. So I'll choose that, and we can click sign in. Once we sign in, we're going to be brought to a page that looks just like this. It looks just like the account we were in for our root user. So now we know that our tester works. At the top right hand corner where your username is, you can see that once it's drilled down, you'll see the same account ID that you have for your root account, and you'll see that an option that says this is an IAM user account. So the IAM user account is displayed as the IAM user at the account ID. Now that we have that set up, we know that this is how this is going to work. So anytime you want to do any tasks in the AWS Management Console, feel free to always just use this account. This is going to be the account that you're going to be doing all your work in, so you don't have to use your root user. And this account has access to all the things the root user account has. So if you want to use S3, you can always just type S3, navigate to S3, and do whatever you want to do in S3 as an IAM user, because if you remember, we have administrator access. So we have access to do anything an administrator would do. Now that we're done talking about how to set up your AWS account, I'll briefly talk about the AWS Marketplace. The AWS Marketplace is not offered as part of the free tier, but if you already have previous integrations or software you're familiar with, then you might want to know about it. The AWS Marketplace is an online store, kind of like Amazon, but for software that has a wide range of pre-configured software that can be easily integrated into your AWS environment. You can find popular commercial software, open source projects, and software as a service, or SaaS solutions, all in one place. As a new AWS user, you can benefit from AWS Marketplace in many ways. To get to the AWS Marketplace, we can use our previous window and navigate to aws.amazon.com/marketplace. Once on the marketplace, we can scroll down and we can see a few popular categories. We have vendors that are selling operating systems, security systems, networking systems, storage, etc. And you can explore solutions by topic and use case. So here we can see that we can explore solutions by business applications, data and analytics, DevOps, infrastructure software, and so many more. So as a new AWS user, you can benefit from the AWS Marketplace in many ways. Firstly, it simplifies procurement, which means you can quickly and easily browse, compare, and purchase software and services from third-party vendors that have been pre-approved by AWS. Secondly, it reduces integration efforts, as most of the software listed on AWS Marketplace has been pre-configured to work seamlessly with AWS services, so you can integrate software into your AWS environment with ease. And finally, AWS Marketplace can help you save costs, since many vendors on AWS Marketplace offer free trials. They also offer hourly billing and other flexible pricing options that can help you reduce software licensing costs. To see a few software options, we can maybe choose from one of these categories. For instance, I'll choose machine learning. Once you choose a category, you can look at a few results and a few options. We can see a few free trial options from Databricks. So you can choose that if you want to integrate that with your AWS account. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can always use the refined results and just use the delivery methods or publisher or the pricing model. In my case, like most of you, you might be interested in like free options for integrations. So if you click that, you're going to see a few free machine learning options you can integrate with your AWS services. So in my case, I can maybe look at the deep learning containers for PyTorch. Let's say I'm using Python and I'm using PyTorch. I can always use one of these services to integrate with my AWS account. So once we click into the AWS service marketplace provider, we can look at pricing options, which is costing us $0, and we can opt to use one of these or use other options. It doesn't really matter, but this was just an overview of how the AWS marketplace works. So you can save costs since many vendors on AWS offer free trials. Like I said, they offer hourly billing and other flexible pricing options, which will help you reduce software licensing costs. All in all, the AWS Marketplace provides a convenient and cost-effective way to find, purchase, and deploy software and services in your AWS environment without the overhead of traditional procurement processes. So, if you happen to have software you'd like to integrate in your cloud projects, don't hesitate to check out the marketplace. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you could consider subscribing. By doing so, you would be providing me with valuable feedback that I'm producing useful content and growing my audience. Thank you for watching.